everybody to Behind the Lava Lava. We are Fiapoko Samoan vets who like to chop it up on various subjects, bringing insights to the vibrant people of the Pacific Islands. I'm going to be your host for today, Spencer Harmon, and I'm excited to basically introduce everybody to our guest today that we'll be interviewing. He's an accomplished artist who, as many of our listeners know, we've been affiliated with Matai and their amazing products, and it's neat to know that he's actually contributed a bit to those products, and so we're going to get into that. Everybody, welcome to David Laumatia.
Thanks, Spencer. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys. Thank you.
Our pleasure. So just going right into it, usually when we are getting to meet people here on the podcast, we want to, like I said, like what kind of joins us all is we're all Polynesian of descent. And so, as many Polynesians like to do, we like to connect the dots, like see how basically where we all come from. So, would you please let us know about your heritage, where you come from, where your family's from, etc.?
Sure. My name's David Laumatia. I'm a New Zealand-born Samoan, age 58 now. Dad came from Samoa, from the village of Sa'anapu, and Mum grew up in Safundi, and later on at Laumatia. And so I grew up in South Auckland, attending Otahuhu College, and lived in Auckland all my life.
That's amazing. And living in Auckland your whole life, like, how would you say that influences you? I mean, obviously that's your whole upbringing, but I think you not just how did it influence your art, but I believe you had another full career in another line of work.
That's right. I was in the police for about 35 years, and my two sons are also in the police. And Dad, coincidentally, was also a police officer. I have a brother who's a detective sergeant. So policing goes right through our family. And growing up in South Auckland as a first-generation New Zealand-born Samoan, like many New Zealand-born Samoans or Tongans or whatever, you struggle for your identity, and I was one of them. My Samoa is not so good, but I have a basic understanding, and I think it's not untypical of some of the experiences that I've had. And you'll see through my art, a lot of those influences and struggles are shown, and I found inspiration from those experiences.
And David, I saw that you held an exhibit last year, and it mentioned something about Samoan and Chinese heritage. Are you also Chinese?
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Michael. I am Samoan Chinese. My grandfather, his name is Aki. And I actually did a painting to acknowledge his influence on my life. That was my mum's father. She went to see him off at the wharf at the age of 8. Said goodbye to him. And she still gets quite emotional because she hasn't seen him since. And so that aspect of my life is kind of missing, if you like. And I'm sure that there are other Samoan Chinese people that had that similar experiences.
And that's very important for us to acknowledge all our heritage. I'm half Samoan, half Chinese. And I grew up in American Samoa, and so I grew up knowing mostly the Fa Samoa. Even though my dad was Chinese, he tried to teach me a little bit Chinese, but it was difficult growing up on an island that mostly spoke Samoan and English. So learning Chinese was difficult for me. So I'm glad that you found a way to acknowledge your Chinese heritage through your art. So as a police officer, how did you find it, especially being in the country that you are? Were there some problems that you came across being a Samoan police officer?
That's a good question, Michael. When I joined, there were only a handful of Samoans or Pacific people in the New Zealand police. And it came with its own challenges. I joined at the age of 19, a young man. And, I experienced some racism being Samoan. Even had doors closed on me, even though I had a police uniform on. And so I actually wrote a book about my police career it was titled Memoirs of an Accidental Cop. And there's a lot of funny stories in there about those sort of experiences, but some also serious ones that affected my life, which resulted in retiring from the police with post-traumatic stress disorder. And that was about 5 years ago after a 35-year career.
So when I left the Marine Corps, law enforcement was one of the first things I wanted to do, but because I was nearly married, I had to stick with the experience that I had gotten from the Marine Corps, which was fixing aircraft. So I couldn't wait a few months for a police academy because I needed to provide for my family. I've always wanted to be in law enforcement. That's why I decided to pursue a career in criminal justice. But still, I can't leave my current job as an electronics mechanic to pursue that career. So that's one way, was earning a degree to kind of relate myself to what used to be my past passion, and that was in law enforcement. So my last question on this topic is, what made you want to pursue being in law enforcement? Was it mainly because you came from a line of police officers?
Well, that's a really good story, and I covered that in my book, Memoirs of an Accidental Cop. That was titled purposely because I just started dating my wife at the time, and as a young man, I was falling in love with this beautiful lady. And when you do, as you know, you don't want to leave her side, eh? And Dad came, and I left college with and just went and did a job as a storeman. And Dad, that didn't meet Dad's expectations of me. And he went and got a police application and came over and said, I got this application for you. I want you to go and apply for the police. And in the end of my book, I mentioned, Dad, I've just only started dating Jane. I'm in love. You know, Andy, Dad's like, Dad, don't worry about her. She'll be there when you go. If she loves you, she'll be there when you come back. And so that was a true story. And we've been married now for 34 years. And the rest is history. Accidental cop, and this amazing career I've had, traveling through the world, and was a qualified detective and went through the ranks and so forth. And looking back, I'm very thankful for my dad. Leadership or having strong male role models is really, really important.
Today's episode is brought to you by Top Gun Home Inspection, a leading home inspection company in Utah. When it comes to home inspections, details matter. That's why Top Gun Home Inspection is committed to providing thorough and meticulous services. From the foundation to the roof, their experienced inspectors leave no stone unturned. They offer a range of services, ensuring that every aspect of your home is safe and up to standard. So, whether you're buying a new home or just want to keep your current one in top shape, trust Top Gun Home Inspection. Remember, a detailed home inspection today can save you from costly repairs tomorrow. Top Gun Home Inspection, where your home's health is our top priority.
Wow, good on your dad. So sounds like he gave you a lot of good guidance, and I want to check out that book because it sounds like you got some pretty good stories with that. But what I wanted to do though is obviously we're featuring you now as an artist, and just a little bit about myself. So I've been in the United States Army since 2005, on the reserve side, and I have other security jobs, things like that. But I was always trying to be an artist, and I keep trying to do my practice, go on my sketchbooks over here. But what I wanted to ask you though is because for me, when I get wrapped up in that line of work, especially when I'm doing stuff for the Army, sometimes my art falls to the wayside. I enjoy doing it, but then I feel like I have less time. And when I do have some downtime, I just want to knock out and take a time out from the whole art thing. And so while you were a police officer, because you've had an extensive career, were you pursuing being an artist then? Or is this a thing that you got into after retirement? Or was this a passion you've had your whole life?
Yeah, I used to sketch as a 8-year-old. Sorry, as a kid, with one of my cousins who actually was a better artist, I thought, growing up. his sketching ability was really, really good. But I didn't take up art until I was much later in life. So I took up art about 8 years ago and started doing just a portraits class. I learned how to do faces, and then I did one painting class, which was really challenging as well. And the rest was self-taught. But for me, as my dear brother said, that when I get into something, I dive straight into it, and I've never looked back. I've just grown from there, doing all sorts. And then I found a niche in the Pacific sphere or realm, and my style sort of developed from there. And I often use mixed media, and that was kind of just by experiment, and it's really been beneficial for me.
That's excellent. And so would you say that you were largely self-taught, or did you go through any kind of structured like education for your artwork?
Yeah, I think if I'd be honest, I think you learn your craft as you go along and you experiment. So that portrait class, it was very important for me just to learn about spacing and composition and so forth. But generally speaking, I would say I've taught myself what I think something should look like, and I've gone from there. And you're learning all the time, experimenting all the time. So it's been great.
No, that's key, because like I've gotten a formal education with the artworks, but the thing is like they can only teach you so much. Whatever I found out is that really everything comes down to how much you do it on your own time, because I went to school with a lot of people, a lot of very talented people, but there were also people who you could tell just didn't want to put it in. Like they put in their assignments on time and did the bare minimum, but that was not enough to hone your skills as an artist. Like the passion to do it on your own time, to be self-taught, like, because all the teachers can do is basically point you in the right direction, but it's still on you, the artist, to learn by trial and error, like what works and what doesn't work. And so that's a pretty cool path that I think that you took, like, because it sounds like all the best artists I know personally, like even when structured, at some point the self-teaching aspect has to take place for them to succeed, and really seems apparent that's what's happened with you.
Yeah, you're right. It has been a passion. I was painting in the lounge, or the spear lounge at our house, and God bless my wife, we had to recarpet the whole lounge because I got paints and that sort of stuff everywhere. But I was blessed enough where I built my own art studio just at the back of my house, and I always remember something that President Obama said, and he said, "There's only 24 hours in the day, and he doesn't get any more time than anyone else. But it's what we prioritize in life that we will focus on, that sort of thing." And like even this morning, I was doing art, and my wife was trying to ring me, and she drove off, and I waved goodbye. I said, "Have a great day, hon." So she knows when she can't find me, I'm going to be in the art room throwing paint around.
I just want to acknowledge real quick that Spencer here was the one who redrew our Behind the Lava Lava logo. So the logo that you see now was redrawn by Spencer from the original design from Manuel Ta'ala, also known as Fallen. But at what point did you realize that your painting had value and that people would find value in it? At what point did you decide to put your art out there and sell it?
Yeah, that's a really good question for an artist, and Spencer will relate to this. I think firstly, you've got to really like your art. And I've liked my art, and I say that with all humility. You've got to first like it, before you put it out there. And after, I created a Facebook page called David Laumatia Art, and just started posting certain things. And Pacific art wasn't the first thing I was posting. I'm an avid fisherman, so I used to paint a lot of people's best catches, fish and all that, and kayaks and so forth. And people just I was just getting commissions saying, "Hey, can you paint this for me? Can you paint that for me?" And then I just had to go at some Pacific stuff and kind of found a niche there, particularly in New Zealand, although I've sent art all over the world now. So, yeah, that's how it started. And
So, David, I'm curious. How do you place a value or price on your artwork?
I think that's a really good question, and each artist will probably share different answers. But as a new artist, you've got to see what the market's willing to pay for what you have. And generally, you'll start off a lower price, I think, because you're just excited to sell a piece. But after you find a niche or become more well-known, you'll find there's a greater demand for your work and greater demand for your time. And so that, including how much time you put into it, the rarity of what you think you've created, even the beauty of what you've created, you will have an idea what value sits right with you. And of course, most people want to pay less than what you want, and that's normal, eh? And just it's a growing thing, I think. And making a living as an artist is not easy. It's usually a side hustle for most people, and I'm enjoying the process.
I could definitely relate on a few things there. I'm just wondering, how many times have people offered to pay you in exposure? You ever get anything like that where that basically it's like, oh, draw this cover for our magazine, and we won't pay you anything, but then your name will get out there because it's on our magazine. Have anybody given you an offer like that?
Not really. I tend to try and stay away from those sort of offers. I generally, to be quite honest, I don't really enjoy doing commissioned work because there's different expectations on you, and the person requesting the commission has too much say, to be quite honest, and it can be just a little bit annoying for an artist because you just want to be your own person and do what spins your wheels. And if someone likes it, then that's fantastic. So I generally try and stay away from commissions, to be quite honest. Yeah.
That I could understand where you're coming from with that. This is when I used to try to do my art hustle, and I would get offers like, hey man, I really like your work, but I can't pay you anything, but I'd like you to draw a comic book for me. It's like, look, those aren't real offers. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if you have 1 million Instagram followers. That doesn't pay my bills, But it's always obnoxious when they do that. But I know what you're talking about too with the, especially when you're trying to come from it as a pure artist standpoint. When you do commissions, it gets very restrictive. It kind of inhibits your creativity, and I always hope that you can get on that level where this is what I'm going to make. If you like it, then we can start talking price. But commissions, they're kind of soul crushing sometimes when they get a little too picky about what they want.
Oh yeah.
Just wanted to explain real quick, because if anybody's watching the podcast on any of our visual platforms, you may be wondering, why are these guys suddenly in different clothes? Why does Spencer suddenly have a beard? So just so I don't remember if I had a beard the first time. We were conducting this interview a few weeks ago, and unfortunately we hit some technical difficulties. And so now we're just able to finally sync up again and continue our conversation. So just in case you're wondering, we're not wizards. It just, we're picking up a conversation at a later date. So anyways, sorry, please continue.
So Dave, you've been in business for a while. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced so far?
I think for me, exposure, finding places to sell your art. I've found that most of my art has been sold on my Facebook page. I actually had a website, but I put it into hibernation because effectively it really wasn't getting the traffic or the sales on there that I wanted. Maybe at a later stage that may become good to do, but at the moment it's not really worth running the website. If people want to view my art, then I say, hey, I'm always posting what I'm doing on my Facebook page. You can contact me through Messenger, and that's usually how I do my sales.
And other than getting exposure, what kind of community support do you need for your art and your business to thrive?
Oh, well, hey, I'm really appreciative of these opportunities, just talking to you guys. I've had a relationship with Matai watches, as well, and other small businesses. So in general, people are very encouraging, and I always like to seize an opportunity just to encourage other people. In fact, I've just recently created a Facebook page today, to be quite honest, encouraging other artists to share their work on this platform so we can encourage each other. And to me, I don't like that sort of competition where you're dogging someone or something. I said, no, man, that's your lane. Let's encourage you. You can do it, Well, let's get behind you, and let's put yourself on my platform, and vice versa. And if someone likes your stuff, that's fantastic.
Sounds like that whole philosophy of the rising tide raises all boats, It's like you help them come up with your platform, they can help you come up with theirs, everybody wins,
That's right. And, as you might know, Spencer, that as an artist, you often can give away art or do a commission for someone for nothing because it's just out of your heart, your goodness, really, just to bless someone. But as you say, you also have to pay the bills, and what goes around comes around. No, I find if you're good to people, then, that goodness will come back to you. As the Bible says, hey, you reap what you sow.
I was just going to say, I love that, and it's actually one of those things where actually in recent this most recent year, I've actually decided to move on from trying to make art my entire profession and kind of close the book on that chapter. But it's actually felt kind of liberating because I'm not saying goodbye to art in general. In fact, I feel like I can be every bit as much an artist that I've ever wanted to be. It's just that now I've kind of alleviated myself of the stress of providing for my future family through it. Now I've got other opportunities in front of me that I'm finally saying yes to. And now when I do art, it's because I really want to do it. It's like I usually try to make it a habit of gifting my art to my nieces and nephews who enjoy it and things like that. And that's fulfilling enough, and I'm not sitting there like stressing out. I'm like, oh, but is this going to pay my bills? Now it doesn't need to. Now it's just because I do it for the sake of loving it. And occasionally it pays, and that's nice too, but it doesn't have to. It's pretty fulfilling in itself.
Awesome.
So Dave, for up and coming artists, what would your advice be for them, those who want to pursue art?
Yeah, that's a good question. I firstly say you got to have a go, and you've got to believe in yourself because no one else is going to believe in you. If you don't believe in your work, you're going to find it really hard. So enjoy what you do. And I always remember what my art teacher said. I did one portrait class, and they said, even if it looks stink, push through, and it gets better and better. And that was one of the best advice because it takes the pressure off you to be perfect and to think, oh my gosh, this doesn't look good. But more than often, I'll follow that advice, and it's usually turned out. So just be patient with yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Have a go. And each painting you do, each artwork you do is a stepping stone to the next piece.
That's amazing. Now, in overall, what aspects of your role as an artist do you enjoy the most?
I like how it reminds people of their lives. I'm often going back to my life and thinking of my childhood experiences, going to Samoa with a lantern to the toilet, where the flies are, all those things, or having mum's candle flying at me, those sort of things. When I do art from my own experience, it triggers a memory for someone else. It reminds them of their grandfather, or it reminds them of their upbringing. And one of the greatest joys is seeing someone brought to tears because of something you did, because it's touched their heart and it's warmed their heart.
I love that. It's that's I think the most important thing in art too is that it's something that evokes emotion, something that brings something back, and that's why whatever form of art you pursue, whether it's music or visual arts or film or whatnot, it's like if it evokes emotion and those memories, like that's the purest form of it. That's why for me, and I think maybe you can relate to this, I never liked it when people would ask me to draw, like, let's say something ultra realistic. I never liked drawing realism kind of stuff because I'm like, if you want it to look like it's out of a photo, why don't you just take a photo? Like I like to draw things that are a little more expressive. On my side of things, I like cartoons or whatnot, but but then there's even just the more exaggerated or abstract artworks where it's like, look, it's not about how real it looks, it's about how it makes you feel when you look at it. And I've always been a fan of that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Spencer. For realism in that, it's an incredible skill, but I don't get it. I don't get it because I'm thinking, you're right. Hey, what have you done to create something that isn't already there? It's a wonderful skill, but it isn't expressive enough for me. And to be honest, I'll be so bored. I'll be bored witness trying to be so realistic that it looks like a photograph. I just don't get it. But I admire someone that can do it. But I would encourage them to step outside that and say, hey, do something that's original from you, that expresses who you are. So anyway.
Now, Dave, we like to ask our guests this question because it's to either improve ourselves here at Behind the Love Lava or just anything. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, just I like what you guys are doing, and I just think it's a wonderful opportunity to speak to you guys and the platform you're doing. Where do you see it going?
Well, so where do I see it going? For me, I just see it as this wonderful link that I have with people of similar island people's origins, because I get to speak with people like yourself, artists, musicians, people in politics, people that are starting restaurants, things that like, we have this link to people. And I've even been very fortunate enough that in my travels and I've met people for the first time, they actually are already familiar with me through the podcast, or they knew the podcast, but they didn't connect me in real life with it. But the fact that they knew it was just something special. And so when I see it in the future is just being my ongoing link to basically communicate with, or to be connected to, other people that have origins from the people from the South Pacific, and, see where we're all at and checking up on each other almost. It's a nice, family connection there in that sense. So,
yeah, I love how we're able to build connection and establish relationships on this platform. I accidentally became a known figure here in Utah through our platform. I didn't want to be too involved in the community, but I get invited to events like one of our events last night. But that's very encouraging for people when people invite me out to come to things and be a guest to their event, so that we can basically experience things together. I'm very honored when people invite me to events because they want me there just to feel privileged and honored. So the way that I see our platform, I think this year would be the year of collaboration. I've always wanted our platform to be a trusted media, and I'm starting to see the fruits of what we're trying to accomplish. We may not have much monetarily, but if we could help anyone in our community, we would extend and lend a hand to make whatever event or whatever personal endeavor they're trying to accomplish, make it happen. So that's where I see our platform is to continually grow, and at the same time continue to build trust within the community, because without our listeners and the supporters within our community, there wouldn't be Behind the Lava Lava. So we are for the people, even though that wasn't the intention in the beginning. The intention in the beginning was to just talk about topics, and for me, it was a therapy session. But now a lot of people could relate to it. They want us to be part of whatever they have. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. I love it. I think this is a digital world, and 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have this opportunity. And now here we are talking, and it's a way to connect to people in the world and to encourage each other, particularly our Pacific people. So God bless you guys in your work.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate you joining us. So where could people find you on social media, or if you have a website, how can people reach out to you and acquire one of your art or simply contact you?
Yeah, I've just got a Facebook page. It's probably my biggest following, David Laumatia Art. Maybe you can put that in there somewhere so people can find that link on Facebook or Instagram, and they can just private message me, and we can talk from there.
That's wonderful, David. And I encourage all of our listeners, please reach out to David, check out his beautiful artwork. You know, it is something that touches the soul and, you know, evokes emotion, like we were saying earlier. And he's truly a talented man. And, you know, I love giving shine to artists that are very passionate about what they do. From the body of work that you've created over, you said it was just 8 years ago, I believe, that you started pursuing art. The body of work that you've created is amazing. And, you know, there's much to look forward to on the horizon, I'm sure. And so I encourage all of our listeners to please go out and check him out. So any last words, David, before we wrap this up here?
No. God bless you guys in your work, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you.
Wonderful. And thank you. And so to everybody, thank you so much for joining us today on Behind the Lava. This has been a wonderful episode. Be sure to check us out on all streaming platforms, wherever you listen to podcasts, and we will see you later. Tofa.
Tofa.
Working on my interests, it's who I am. I'm trying to make these digits look like EINs. When the help ain't free, you all help me. Salute to folks who turn their names to LLCs. The wealth is in itself to help a non-profit. To be better women or better men, whether business by veterans or common folks with a dream. We're all born with the same strength. We tread waters that were untouched. Let's be on the same wavelength. Behind the lava, front of our eyes. Let our legacy live off it when we're up in the sky. All signs point to us to help someone make a difference. With God as my witness, 'cause talk business.